What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another brand new installment of Renegades Reviews, exclusively here as always on the Casa D18 Studios Channel. I, of course, am your host, the Renegade JJ Williams. It's Monday, and we're going to begin our final lap, if you will, in the world of John Wayne reviews. And today we're going to take a look at The Train Robbers, starring John Wayne, Ann-Margaret, Rod Taylor, Ben Johnson, Christopher George, Bobby Vinton, Jerry Gatlin, and Ricardo Montalbán. What's going on, everybody? Thank you for joining me here once again for another brand new installment of Renegades Reviews. As I said in the introduction, it's the final stretch, the final road, if you will, of our John Wayne Westerns month. We've got 3 reviews left to wrap things up, including a special Tuesday review, just because I wanted to squeeze it in here. It's the only one that's not a Western. You'll understand it when I hype it at the end of the episode here. But today we're going to discuss The Train Robbers. And our movie opens at some point after the death of Matt Lowe. And his widow, Mrs. Lowe, wants to tell the railroad where to find $500,000 worth of gold that her late husband stole during a train robbery, as she wants to clear the family name for her son. Instead, Lane convinces her to retrieve the gold so that she can collect the $50,000 reward that is being offered by the railroad for its return. Lane gathers some of his old friends in order to help assist him in retrieving the gold for a share of the reward. However, the other original train robbers have gathered together again themselves, and they are going to attempt to get the gold at any cost. Lane, Mrs. Lowe, and their crew all journey into Mexico in search of the hidden gold. However, they are followed closely by an unnamed Pinkerton agent who works for Wells Fargo. After a series of adventures, battles, romance, and shenanigans, they return to Texas with the gold, where there is one final battle. The next day, Lane and his men put Mrs. Lowe on a train in order to return the gold, and Lane tells her that she can keep the reward for herself and her son. As Lane and the crew walk past the end of the train, they meet the Pinkerton agent, who tells them as the train is pulling out that Matt Lowe was never married, and that Mrs. Lowe is really a prostitute named Lily, who fooled them all into helping her get the gold for herself. Lane and his gang, unwilling to be fooled, mount their horses and chase after the train, looking to rob it and reclaim the gold for themselves as our movie comes to its end. This is probably going to be one of the shorter reviews this month, as the movie itself was one of the shortest ones, and then the write-up on Wikipedia that I basically transcribed, and I even added a few things to it, wasn't really that long. It was just 2 paragraphs. Most of the reviews have at least 5 to 8 paragraphs that I end up transcribing, rewording, adding my own stuff into. This had 2. So I apologize to everybody if this is a quicker episode than normal, but it is what it is, because even if I had taken my own thorough notes like I do for some movies, I wouldn't have described it that much differently than what I just did. I watched this movie for a couple of reasons. Number one, Ann-Margaret. Period. Point blank. I've come into my adoration of Ann-Margaret much later in my life here. My dad tried to expose me to her when I was younger through The Who's Tommy, through Bye Bye Birdie. And at that age, I was just meh, whatever. I'm not interested in these movies. As you get older, your tastes change. and you start to dive into those type of things on your own without being so forced to it. And then you get a different appreciation for stuff. You guys may remember I watched The Who's Tommy last month doing my movies that star musicians. If you missed that review, we'll link it up here. And that was in the 70s. Ann-Margaret was a little bit older than she was in Bye Bye Birdie by that point, but she wasn't grumpier old men, the Santa Claus 3 age just yet. She was still, we'll say, her 20s, maybe her 30s at that point in her life. And it was good. I enjoyed it. In fact, that movie only came out about 2 years after this one. But you start to get exposed to these things and you start to get that appreciation for them. And I've really started to get an appreciation for Ann-Margaret here in my later life. And I see now what my dad saw then, especially in the 60s when she was first starting out and she was doing things like Bye Bye Birdie, doing things like Viva Las Vegas with Elvis, and seeing her and just going, wow. Between her singing abilities, between her looks, enough said, right? Another reason I wanted to watch this one was because it was a train robbery movie. Or at least that's what you're led to believe by the title, The Train Robbers. At the end of the day, there is no train robbery that we see. We're just kind of in the hunts of the after effect of the robbery. So I'm a little bit disappointed on that aspect because I wanted to see John Wayne, Ann-Margaret, and company rob the train. That's what I thought I was going to see going into this. On that end, I'm a little bit disappointed, but every other aspect of this movie I enjoyed. The pace moved well. It wasn't too boring. The actors were great. Ricardo Montalbán was awesome as the Pinkerton agent. Ann-Margaret was gorgeous. John Wayne was John Wayne, like we've talked about all month. I've been reading online. I did a little bit of research about this, and a lot of people basically they didn't use this direct term, but from what I gather, a lot of people kind of considered this a fluff piece, no real substance. And maybe at the time, but I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it for everything that it was, not everything that it maybe was supposed to be. I thought this was good. It was fun. It was entertaining. The chemistry between John Wayne and Ann-Margaret was freaking awesome. Like it was undeniable, even for him being as old as he was at this time and old enough to be her father, let alone maybe her grandfather. There was just this tension and chemistry between the Duke and Ann-Margaret that you just kind of got caught up in. I thoroughly enjoyed The Train Robbers. I'm going to give this film 3.5 out of 5 stars. Again, maybe over time it'll raise up the ranks and it'll get to 4.5 stars. Never going to get to 5. It's not a perfect movie. But I definitely think that with a couple repeat viewings, this could get up to at least 4, maybe 4.5 stars in the future. What do you guys think of The Train Robbers? Let me know. If you're watching the premiere, leave your thoughts and comments over here. If you're watching on demand later in the day, leave your thoughts and comments down here. Let's have that conversation, that discussion, the debate, that interaction that I'm always asking you guys for in the comments below. And make sure you guys tune in tomorrow, right here to the Casa D18 Studios channel for a special Tuesday episode of Renegades Reviews. Had to squeeze this one in. It is not a John Wayne Western. However, it is I Love Lucy featuring John Wayne. Starring, of course, Lucille Ball, Desi Arnaz, William Frawley, Vivian Vance, and the Duke as himself. At the top of the hour following that, right here On the Casa D18 Studios channel, we will once again open the doors for Statboy Sports Bar featuring Dory Lou. Food is hot, the beer is ice cold, and the seats are warm, so pull yourself up a bar stool and engage in some professional sports conversation with your barkeeps, Statboy Mike and Dory Lou. And then later on in the evening, right here on the Casa D18 Studios channel, the Jeff Meacham Network, and across the Jeff Meacham Network Multiversa Media, it'll be time once again for the flagship show, Talk Wrestling with Jeff Meacham. 10:05 Eastern, immediately after WWE NXT, 7:05 Pacific, just before NXT. Right here across the Multiversa Media. You don't want to miss out on any of that content right here on the Casa D18 Studios channel, the Jeff Meacham Network, and across the Jeff Meacham Network Multiversa Media. I Love Lucy, special guest star John Wayne, Statboy Sports Bar featuring Dory Lou, Talk Wrestling, and then after all that tomorrow, there will be one more John Wayne review before the month ends. You don't want to miss any of it, so make sure you smash that like button, make sure you subscribe, make sure that notification bell is turned on so you don't miss out anytime a video drops right here on the Casa D18 Studios channel or anytime we go live, as is the case with Statboy Sports Bar, Open Mic Night, pay-per-view PLE watch-along coverage, etc. Share these videos with your family, friends, loved ones, coworkers, movie fanatics, cinephiles in your life, fans of John Wayne, fans of Ann-Margaret, fans of Ricardo Montalbán, anybody you can think of that would enjoy this content in this video, share it with them. It's the only way we're going to keep my visibility up in YouTube's algorithms now that we are, in fact, a monetized channel right here on the platform. Thank you once again to everybody out there who joined me, tuned in today. It means so much more to me than you guys will ever know. And I will see you guys next time.
And now, preview time. So let's take a look at what's coming your way.